So, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is coming back. It's being rebooted or remade. It's all a little bit vague at the moment. Nobody seems to know fully what's going on. It's the very early stages of it, but I just wanted to kind of take a look at what they could do with Buffy and how I feel about this show coming back.
Put the bunny back in the box.
So I'm a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you've never watched it, if you've never watched the original, it's quite dated, particularly the first season. It looks older than it is, actually, the first season of Buffy. But once it gets going, once it gets into that second season, my God, this is a good show. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's the show that got me into television. I think to a degree it got me into film as well, because it got me to love characters. Buffy, Xander, Willow, Giles, Oz, all of them. Or even Riley, poor old Riley, and Dawn as well. All of the characters in this were just so relatable, and I loved every single one of them. And the same goes for Angel as well. I think Angel is a very strong show, and I've done a ranking video, self-plug, on the channel, and I rated Angel Season 5 as my second favourite overall. So both of these shows I absolutely love. The mythology of it, the whole verse, everything about it, apart from some bits of Season 6 of Buffy, and all of Season 4 of Angel for the most part, is just TV perfection. It's storytelling perfection. And it's one of those shows where people have always been saying, is it coming back? Are we going to get a reboot? Particularly in the age that we're in now. The X-Files came back to mixed results. 24 did the same, which Legacy wasn't particularly good. I did enjoy Live Another Day. Prison Break was another one that came back, and I think Season 5 was much stronger than how it ended originally, so I'm pleased that did. But the point is, so many shows, Twin Peaks, I could keep going on, there's so many of them, Heroes, pretty crap though. So many shows are coming back and getting another shot that it was inevitable that at some point it was going to happen with Buffy. But do we want it to? The fans of the original show want it to come back, and I think that depends on how it's coming back. So there's a bit of mixed information at the moment. I should have had this on screen already. But there's been a bit of mixed information as to what this new version of the show is going to be. Now, at the moment, no network has said that they're going to air it, but it's been said that the show is coming, and it's being written by Monica Owusu-Breen, who has previously worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so a very good show. So I'm not doubting the writing prowess of her. I'm not saying that it's going to be a terrible show. But yeah, do we want this show to come back? So 20th Century Fox have said before that they would only do it if Joss Whedon was on board. If he was the one who went, I've got an idea for what I want to do with this show, with this franchise, and I want to bring it back. So we kind of all assumed that he wouldn't. He's got a new show coming out, and I forget the name of that show now, but it's going on to HBO, and the description of it was awesome. I can't wait to see it. I love everything that Joss Whedon's done. Even Dollhouse, I think, had merits. I liked a lot of Dollhouse. But nobody really thought, I think, that he would have any involvement in a Buffy reboot. They did want it to come back, but apparently he is involved. He's not going to be the showrunner, he's not going to be the one spearheading it, but he's going to be executive producer on there, which means that he's given the okay. His credence is behind it. He's the person that's been like, yep, okay, let's do it. Which should get fans excited, but as I say, there's mixed information that's come from it. There's articles out there, and the first one I saw said that the new Slayer was going to be an African-American who was going to be playing Buffy. That set alarm bells off for me and for a lot of other fans, I think, as well, because it gave the impression that this... And reboot, remake, maybe I should look those up. Quick edit after I've looked them up. So a reboot is a type of sequel. In television, a reboot of a TV show can be a return to production after cancellation of a long hiatus, but it's also understood to mean a remake of an older series. So a remake is as it sounds. So a remake is remaking what's been done before. So a remake is a film or television series that is based on an earlier film or TV series and tells the same story or a very, very similar story. So remake can also mean reboot. So you see what I mean about how vague this is, how confusing it is. So some outlets have said, and I think it was Deadline, possibly, that broke it originally. So as I say, some have said that it's going to be an African-American, a new take on the character of Buffy. Whereas others are saying, and Nicholas Brendan as well has tweeted that he's under the impression that it's a continuation of the world with a new Slayer. So let's look at the couple of options. If they were to come back and do a remake, if this was going to be a new interpretation of the character of Buffy, and Buffy itself was a remake, there was the movie originally and it came back as a TV show, which was also kind of a continuation. Everything's confusing about this, but it it redid a lot of what was in that film. It retold certain aspects of the story. It changed what the movie had set up and did it in its own way for the TV show, which I think we can all agree was for the best. But if they're going to remake this, I don't see it being very successful, because there was the plan to do this before. It was only a couple of years ago where there was talk of a movie of Buffy coming out and it being a remake, being a complete redo of what went on before. And fan reaction to it was certainly not positive. I think it was more akin in, don't you fucking do this. I think was the general perception from fans of Buffy. And there's a lot of those fans that are coming out now because they're under the impression that that's what they're doing again. And I strongly believe that's a terrible way to do it. Somebody on my Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitter, @JoeJulians, mentioned there to me that it's fine to remake it because it'll bring a whole new legion of fans who aren't familiar with Buffy to the Buffyverse. It will bring a whole lot of new people in. But my counter to that is the original Buffy show and Angel, they're still out there. Anybody can go watch them now. And as I say, yeah, it's a little bit dated to begin with, but it's still just as strong a show. I'd watched it a year or two ago with my fiance, and she loved it. She'd never watched Buffy before. I don't even think she'd seen an episode, but she still misses it. She still wants to watch it again. She was obsessed with the show. She was hooked on it because it was so well written. It stands the test of time in more ways than it doesn't. So redoing it doesn't make any sense to me, because if you're going to watch a new version of it, why would you want to go back and then watch the old one, what's done before? But if you're going to continue it, if you're going to continue that world, make it its own thing. Make it a whole new cast if you need to. That's absolutely fine. But that's the best way to get people to go and watch the stuff that's come before it. They watch this new version of Buffy. It turns out to be incredible. The first thing they're going to do is go, right, I need to see what I missed before. I need to go and fill myself in on everything that I missed, because I've heard good things about Buffy, because of course you had. And they're going to fall in love with the original as well while supporting the new ones. And this, without question to me, is the way to go. I don't care if they have an entirely new cast. I really don't. As long as it takes place after what happened in the original show. As long as it doesn't wipe out what the original show did. I mean, look at the Ghostbusters reboot. How much backlash that had just because it decided to go down the remake route. And it didn't need to. Ghostbusters, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it does connect. Ghostbusters didn't need to. It could easily have taken place years after the original Ghostbusters movie did, and not had to have changed much. It didn't have to change a thing, really. It could have had the same basic premise of these women getting together and fighting ghosts, but just with the knowledge that it had been done before. That's absolutely fine, and for me that is 100% what this needs to do. And if it did do that, it opens up so many avenues of who you could get back. I think it needs to be a show that stands on its own 2 feet. I don't think the new Buffy, which I think by the way is just going to be called Slayer. That's my bet. It's just going to be called Slayer. I'll bet you a $5. Not everybody. In fact, cancel that bet. I don't know how many people end up watching this. But you could have other characters drop in and out. Like, good old One-Eyed Xander could come back. Giles is a perfect person to come back. You could have so many people who, not necessarily part of the main cast, but just imagine the buzz if you're going to have Spike come into this new show, even for just one episode. Imagine how much positive fan reception that'd get and how many people would tune in to watch it. This is why, to me, redoing what came before makes absolutely no sense from a commercial point of view, from a creative point of view. It's pointless. Don't do it. It has to be new, and it has to be following on from what happened originally. Which leads me to the point as well of how would you do that? How would you carry on? Because, spoilers for Buffy, but Buffy ended with, after Willow had done the spell and awoken all of the potential Slayers to become Slayers. So there's many Slayers around now, lots of them. One was quite deranged and popped up in Angel. It's a good episode. Her name was Dana, I think. It was a very good episode. So how would you go about that, of having the chosen one if she's part of a chosen 1,000? Well, that's the beauty of having a show that exists in a world of magic and demons. You can do anything. Who's to say that Willow's spell that she didn't just turn out to be temporary? We didn't see too much after it. We know that for at least a year, yeah, there were still Slayers around. There was still more than one. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to have stayed that way. All of those Slayers could potentially have lost to their powers over time. Willow's spell worked in the moment, and it lasted for a while, but it was never meant to be a spell that lasted forever. So the Slayers start losing their powers, they start dwindling until there's only one left, and that one can be the focus of this new show. Easily. Perfectly. It's a perfect setup already. The Slayers have fallen, one remains. Once again, you've got your chosen one. And I mentioned Spike as well. How would you get Spike back? Because obviously James Masters is a lot older now than he was on the show. Willow did a spell, vampires age. Solved. That last one, by the way, the vampires aging bit, that's not necessarily something that has to be done. It was just an idea that I had if they were ever going to bring back the show, how you could get somebody like Spike or Angel, not that Dave Boreanaz would ever do it, but back into the show. Vampires age now. And then there's also the comics. And if you're a fan of the comics, this next bit may piss you off a little bit. But if it was me, I'd wipe them. I would just make it so the comics didn't happen. Because this may just be a me thing, but whenever shows continue in comic book form, I have an inability to cross-medium with shows. If it's a TV show, it ends where the TV show ends, even if it's a cliffhanger. I can't get invested into a comic book iteration of it. I don't know why that is. I say maybe it is just me, but I don't think you could do a reboot in the terms that they mean reboot here, the terms of continuing it, if the comic books existed as well, because that all went in such a strange direction. So many weird things happened in that. And as I mentioned, if you like the comics, that's absolutely fine, but just my personal preference would be to pretend the comics didn't happen. They can still exist in their own world, magical world, parallel universe and all that, but it doesn't make sense to me to have that part of the TV universe if this is going to be a continuation. But then too, and to look at all aspects of this, do we want the Buffyverse back at all? I mean, my instant reaction to continuing the story, even with new people, is God, yes. The world is so rich, there's so much history there, and there's so many different aspects and avenues that can be explored that were only just touched on in the original Buffy and Angel shows, that just make me really want to see more of it. Even if it isn't the same cast, I just want to see the world, the mythology expanded upon and built upon and just explored in greater detail. But at the same time, Buffy and Angel to me are such perfect shows that I worry that bringing it back will dilute that. And I'm not 100% sure that I want it. So my feelings on it overall are very, very mixed. And that's even considering how Angel ended. And spoilers for Angel now. Angel ended on a massive cliffhanger that again was continued in comics, but I don't pay any attention to that side of it. So for me, the show ended with them in that alley. Ended with Angel going to fight that dragon. And it's never been explored. And I, over time, have grown to love that ending. It's really summed up the ethos of Angel of just keep fighting. I didn't need to see what happened next. I just knew that they were going into fight and they were going to fight to their dying breath, which is what it looked like. But this gives the opportunity as well to explore that. To kind of look at what happened, and I don't think it would ever be a massive focus on it, but if you could get Illyria back onto this show, that would be amazing. But it does open up avenues. It opens up options to wrap things up that weren't wrapped up before. But the most crucial thing is that this new Buffy, if it does go ahead, has to stand on its own 2 feet, and it has to be as good as the original. It has to have characters that are as funny and are as warm and welcoming as those characters on Buffy and Angel were, because they are some of the best characterizations I've ever seen on TV or film. And that's not an exaggeration. I genuinely love these characters so much. It's going to be very, very difficult to craft and create new ones that come close to resonating with the audiences the way that they did. Because what Joss Whedon did and the characters that he put to paper and put on screen, it was just magic in a bottle. It really was. So this was a bit of a rambling video. I haven't come to any conclusions on it at all because we need more information. This is just a knee-jerk response and a ramble and a bit of a tangent on just my thoughts when I heard that this was happening. And I've heard all the mixed information. I just felt the need that I needed to vent. I needed to talk to a camera and to you guys about it and about what it could mean and what it could be. So yeah, that's what this video was. But let me know what you think as well. This, more than any other topic recently, is something I really want to talk about. So please go into the comments, let me know. What are your thoughts on it? What do you think should happen? What do you want to see? Let's really get into this. Let's talk Buffy. Let's talk Buffy and Angel. Let's just talk the whole thing. If you like this video, I'm going to do some more Comic-Con videos as well over the next few days, just on other new bits of information that we get. I've never really done trailer reactions on this channel, but I may do kind of a group trailer reaction of lots of different ones and just share my thoughts on them. So do hit like and subscribe if my voice doesn't annoy you or if my face doesn't piss you off. Yeah, like and subscribe would be nice. So please do that. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at Joe Julians. I'm always just tweeting off-the-cuff thoughts on there. So yeah, engage with me on there too. And do check out that Buffy and Angel ranking video that I did a little while ago. It's on the channel, probably buried a little bit now, but you can find it if you search for it. Let me know your thoughts on that too. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.